Okay. Hi, everyone. So, quick introduction again. I'm Emily from Northampton County, one of the co-leads for the collab. I'm here with Debbie from Lehigh County. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Debbie Hewitt. I'm from the Lehigh County AE. Also part of this the collaborative. Sorry, again, long day for you, long day for me.
Absolutely.
Generally, you would be seeing Miranda Hess. She was otherwise occupied tonight, so I'm here in her stead.
Yeah. And presenting tonight, we have Levi. So, we'll have him do his introduction and get started. And like I said, keep questions towards the end so we can monitor that in the chat, but also protect confidentiality. So, Levi, the floor is yours.
Okay. Um, Hello, everyone. My name is Levi Wolbert. I'm from the Lehigh Valley Center for Independent Living, and I'm part of our supported decision-making project. As you can see, my mouse is a little broken and keeps liking to click on its own, but that's all right. Nothing's no spoiling here. Let's see if I can get that mouse to work. Oh, great. Anyway, yeah, LVCIL is, I guess who I can say who we are. We're the Center for Independent Living. If you don't know what a CIL is, essentially they came out of the civil rights movement for disability rights. They are all across the country, all kind of independently operating. Oh boy, misbehaving on me now. All right, I think I fixed it. More or less, each one, CIL governs certain counties. Ours is Lehigh, and we're also kind of into Bucks County as well. What we do is we serve people with disabilities of all kinds. Whatever kind of disability, we try to be able to support people. Our core services, which every CIL offers, is information, referral, peer support, advocacy, independent living skills. And for us, we really do a lot of focus on job training and transition services for youth and older adults. So SDM and guardianship is always a topic we're looking at. We're very lucky to be funded to do the SDMPA project by the Developmental Disabilities Council. So we always like to shout them out. They've been really wonderful to us, enabled us to do what we're doing. So I'm happy to get into it. So I guess the first thing is, what even is a decision? I mean, it can kind of be a nebulous term. Our decisions, choices, options, preferences, oh, on and on. The basic idea of it is a decision is something that you choose for yourself. It is a way to you get the information, you have different options, and you choose a path forward in your life. But the question is, how do you actually make a decision? Do you simply know the right answer right off the bat? Have you ever had difficulties choosing, gone back and forth, and maybe you've been confused about what your options are, how to achieve them? Have you ever made a bad decision, something that turns out, poorly, that you didn't think through, or you didn't have enough information, and it just doesn't go well? Um, there we go. Oh, and did you ask for help ever? Do you make every single decision on your own? Well, the question here then is, can you really be trusted? Maybe you shouldn't be allowed to make choices for yourself if you ever needed help or made a bad choice. Maybe you should be placed under guardianship, to have your rights be essentially taken away and given to someone else. Now, the thing is, guardianship is meant to be something that is restricted for very serious cases. If you don't know what guardianship is, it's when a judge and a court essentially says you're unable to make decisions for yourself in any meaningful or safe way. You're deemed incapacitated, and a judge appoints a guardian to make decisions for you. That guardian gets pretty much, for the most part, legal responsibility to manage most parts of your life. Um, They're personal decisions for you regarding the person, financial. Most commonly, it's pretty much universal. Now, the thing is, when it comes to guardianship, SDM and SDMPA is not anti-guardianship. When implemented properly, excuse me, and under really extreme conditions where individuals truly are incapacitated, unable to make any meaningful or informed decision for a variety of reasons, then it's working as it should. Guardianship is designed to protect those people, to help them, to not leave them essentially, defenseless and unable to care for themselves. But the problem is that there's a lot of unneeded guardianship. There's a lot of unnecessary and overreaching. Um, and that's where that question comes from. The idea that just because you, or in this instance, we're focusing a lot on young adults with disabilities, especially as they age into adulthood, there's this idea that, well, if they need help, if they struggle a little bit, well, just put them under guardianship. It's easy, it's simple, it's the way to do it. We're saying that's really not the case. And that's where a lot of areas of guardianship end up falling into those areas where people could make decisions on their own if they had the right set of circumstances. But the thing is, again, we don't want to paint people who go into guardianship or even the concept as evil or bad. Really, it's that unnecessary and uninformed view of it. So a lot of these just come from the cases of misunderstanding. For instance, parents may not ever be informed or know that there are other options other than guardianship. Sometimes that's usually told, hey, guardianship is the way to go. It's just what you do. So you can't fault them for that. You don't know what you don't know. There's also sometimes predatory practices. Guardianship is a long legal process that takes a lot of money, and unfortunately, there have been cases where lawyers do push for it and make a lot of money off of that. So, not everyone for sure. I mean, I've got some best friends who are lawyers, but even they'll tell you in any kind of industry, people sometimes are looking to make a buck. But the one that SDMPA is really focused on is what we call the school to guardianship pipeline. So essentially, all minors, anyone below the age of 18, is automatically under a guardianship of some kind. Usually the parents, grandparents, or whatever, legal guardian is called. But when adults or young adults with disabilities do reach that legal age, what happens to them? Well, commonly the solution is just file for guardianship. Again, usually it's good intent, but it's usually not an easy process or easy on the people in it. It is very costly, it is time consuming, and once put out, it's difficult to reverse. And the one thing I always really stress here is that one of the things that really tends to be overlooked is yes, 9 times out of 10, if you're a parent of a young adult with a disability, you're going to be their guardian. That's who the court's going to name. But the court names it. And the thing is, if the court, for any reason, decides you as the parent or family or whoever you are related to this young adult can no longer serve. Let's say you get into an accident, get sick, maybe you get in trouble with the law in some way. The court has any reason to say we don't feel comfortable with you, they take you away. You have no say in whether you're the guardian. You can petition, you can go through a lot of things, but ultimately it's up to the court. And they could assign someone who does not know your child well, does not know this person you're caring for, and they're going to make all the decisions for them. They're going to be their guardian. That's usually not a great situation. Not super common, but I think it's something that a lot of people should know about and realize is a real topic. So, talking about decisions, the thing is, we view them as a fundamental right. A quote is from Sartre, a philosopher: "We are our choices. We are the culmination of how we choose to behave in the world. We're the culmination of the decisions we make, and we're the one who are, in the driver's seat of our lives. Decision making is not a privilege; it's a right. And when you have the ability to do so, getting that right taken away is pretty rough. Um, and the thing is, not everybody's decision-making process looks the same. Not everyone is exactly on the same level, and sometimes people need help. But asking for help and asking for a different approach or strategy doesn't mean you can't make decisions. And really, that's what SDM is getting at the heart of. But we're going to go over that a little bit. Really, self-determination is what we're talking about. That is the ability for an individual to have control over their life, make choices, pursue goals based on personal values, preferences, and interests. And when people have more self-determination, they are happier, healthier, and more satisfied. We have a quote here from Jennifer Wright from the University of St. Thomas School of Law. People under guardianship can experience significant negative impacts, not just on emotions, but physical and mental health, their very longevity in life, ability to function, reports of subjective well-being. When you don't make decisions about yourself, when you are told what to do, your ability to make decisions, which is a skill, starts to atrophy. Right? It's not good. People who could make decisions, the more and more they're not encouraged to, they're not allowed to, the worse they become at making them when they have to. But self-determination is also wonderful when it's actually given. The more self-determination someone has, we know statistically they are healthier, more independent, more well-adjusted, and really, this is a big one, better able to recognize and resist abuse. They're safer. If you don't know, you can say no. If you don't know, you have options. When something not right is going on, when someone is abusive or manipulative, you may not know that you have the option to stand up to them, to speak out against it. And that's something we see a lot with people with disabilities. You're very young adults, in particular, disabilities have a much higher risk of being abused. And when they don't know this, they don't know they have self-determination and they've never been encouraged to use it, that increases. What also is interesting is when people have self-determination, they tend to have better jobs. They tend to work. People with disabilities do end up getting careers when they're encouraged to, if based on capability and based on a lot of different things. But they're much more likely to live on their own, have better medical treatment, better health overall. So it's not just a kind of a moral issue. I mean, it's health, finance, safety, self-determination, being able to choose and make decisions affects every aspect of your life. So again, that's where supportive decision making comes in. SDM, supportive decision making, is a less restrictive alternative to guardianship. And here's a little definition here. Essentially, the long and short of it is we have a decision maker, in this case, usually the young adult with a disability. Well, this applies to pretty much all ages. Um, they're able to make choices on their own, but they do so by help from others. And the important thing is it's others they want to get help from. They choose the team of trusted people, and they become the circle of support. That can include friends, family, mentors, or generally whoever. Now, people might go, well, what's the difference between SDM and something like power of attorney, which is something that's usually asked about a lot? SDM is really cool because it's flexible. It's really flexible and really customizable, where sometimes something like powers of attorney, financial power, medical proxy, these things are all options to have, but they're pretty set in stone with what they are. SDM you can really organize around the individual as an individual approach. So again, the supporters provide guidance, they build decision-making skills over time. Again, we view this as a skill. Especially with young adults with disability, they may not learn that skill at the same rate or not in the same method, so sometimes it's overlooked. But with SDM, they learn with support to make better decisions over time, and that's something we see pretty often. They keep their legal rights. Again, they can say, I don't want you as a supporter anymore. They get that choice. Um, and decision making has all that self-determination goodness. So just going through exactly kind of the roles here. What is the decision maker? Well, that's the person who the whole thing is centered around. They ask for help from the people they trust. They understand, explore options, help analyze risk and benefits, and sometimes even help communicate those decisions to other people. But the key to the whole thing is the decision maker is the person who has the end say. At the end of the day, people could go, hey, this is a bad idea, and they can give you all the reasons why. You can't force them one way or the other if you're the supporter. You help them and you try to get them to understand something if they're having trouble, but you don't get to make that decision for them. That's part of the whole thing. All of us make decisions that aren't great all the time. We don't always listen to the advice given to us, and that's part of just being human. And that's how we learn. The only thing I will say is that if someone suspects something like abuse or someone is getting scammed or fraud, if you think that's happening, just use the same logic as you would with a friend. If you think your grandmother's getting scammed, report it. If you think your friend's being abused, reach out for help. None of that goes away. That's just kind of a basic understanding. But the supporter, again, you try to understand the individual, what their goals are, what they need help with, how does the person want to be given help. These are all things that are communicated back and forth when someone asks you to be a supporter. And that's the thing, they have to ask you for it. And you have a right to say no if you don't want that responsibility. It's a two-way street. The supporter helps the decision maker, and the decision maker puts trust in the supporter to help them. If anything in that goes awry, then that contract is ended between them. And I say contract in, the agreement there. So what does SDMPA do? Really, we're here to promote awareness and the benefits of the supported decision making here in Pennsylvania. What we've actually done is on our website, we have toolkits that essentially run through all the different things. If you're a decision maker, young adult with disability, you're ready to make their own choices. We have a whole toolkit of how to do it, worksheets, guides, references. Same thing with the supporters. If you have been asked, hey, I want you to be my supporter, go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what that is. We have a whole toolkit for you to say, here's what you need to know. And then we also have some stuff for school personnel, IEPs. We are encouraging SDM to be part of that and organized within to it. Service providers, health, law, service agency professionals who want to advocate or understand it better and understand how it works, we got that. Here you can see a little bit of our website. I'm sure we can link that. Some of that will go out later too, but we have a little selection of our different toolkits, another view of our website here. But really, what's super important is how you can actually help. Currently, SDM is not an established law in Pennsylvania. It's not in the books, not by name. When you go through guardianship, it says, look at all alternatives first that are less restrictive, less severe, but it doesn't name them. So that's when it can get confusing. Most states do have SDM in their laws. Pennsylvania is lagging behind, but currently, Senator Collette has introduced some legislation that we are trying to, get into the House and get passed that puts SDM on the books. It's not anything different than a lot of the other states that have proven success have. So what we need from you is, call legislators, tell them, hey, we want to see SDM. We want co-sponsors. We are interested in seeing more options for people with disabilities to retain their autonomy, to have more decision-making powers. And we've talked to congressmen. I've been in Harrisburg. It's a popular idea, but they still need the support because unfortunately it's not very well known, especially outside of disability related areas. So a lot of the information here is going to be given out later with the email. So I'm not going to sit here and read every word for word, but that's the gist. And the really nice thing we're seeing so far, SDM and the push to get it into law has been very, very bipartisan. I've talked to people on both sides of the aisle. I've talked to a lot of different people, and they're working together to this, and it's got a really good shot, but we always need that support. So again, how to contact us, contact us. I know I'm sure there's some questions here. You can go to our website, sdmpa.org. Very simple. We're on Facebook. Or if you go to the Lehigh Valley Center for Independent website, you can find us on there as well. So I think that's a very basic overview. I mean, if there are questions or clarifications, I would love to be able to take the time to talk about them. I'll stop sharing for now. So that's at least a little overview. Hopefully it was gave you an idea what it's about and how to get started and learning more.
Uh,
Hi,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. I was just wondering if you could go a little bit more in depth to what the toolkits
Sure.
offer. Um, we experience quite frequently medical practices and especially things with finances. They want some kind of document to prove that, you are a person supporting this individual with whatever decision they need to make. And they are really the ones pushing for the guardianship, the power of attorney. And, we don't want to go that route with these individuals because they are competent and they just need, non traditional ways of education to be able to make the informed decision, which we are doing supportive decision making, it sounds like. But, just wondering if you had anything in those toolkits that would give us like a document that we could present.
So I think one thing you said is really good. We all are doing supported decision making. I mean, when I ask my friends, I don't know anything about cars. If I want to look at a new one, I go to my friend, my dad. That's supported decision making. I'm getting help for it. So really, it's something we all do. But this is a little more organized for people who have the particular needs. But yeah, the documents and the toolkits, There are a lot of different worksheets. There's a lot of different things that go through them. A lot of them are written kind of for the people. So the one for the decision maker assumes you are a decision maker. You're someone who wants to learn how to do SDM because that's our big thing. A lot of websites we found talked about what SDM was, but didn't say how to do them. So we do have, in particular, for your question, we actually have a infographic that basically breaks down all the levels of different options in Pennsylvania currently. That goes all the way to the highest, which is guardianship, is the most restrictive, all the different kinds of financial and medical power of attorney. Then there goes to notarized documentation, formal stuff, informal SDM. So yeah, you'll find some information on that can maybe help. The thing that's hard right now is because SDM is not on the books legally. Um, it's something where it's kind of makeshift a little with trying to get notarized documents. Sometimes there's like versions of financial power of attorney that are limited that you can kind of put into it because SDM is if financial power of attorney or any kind of POA is desired by the decision maker. They say, I don't know how to do it. I don't want to, then that's their choice. You can have that in SDM. It's customizable. But yeah, there are some options there, but we're pushing for SDM to be on the books officially because that will make what you're saying so much more easier to say, here's the law, here's the official notarized, recognized legal documents. That'll be a lot easier. But there's some ways to support what you're trying to do, and we have that on the website. You can look in our resources.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm going to stop the recording just in case there are any case specific questions. So give me 1 second. I can see it now, Debbie, by the way.